Hey everybody, welcome to the chat. I'm Sue Stewart, and along with Pat LaRose, we love getting together each and every week, despite me being in a basement office and him fighting with the dog and the, I don't know what you fed him today kind of motions.
I know, I wish I knew. It probably got into the garbage based on the smell.
The joys of working from home. You can't
Yes.
blame the typical guy beside you. You wanted to make mention there's some new stuff going on at the dealership this week.
Yeah, so obviously Riverside Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram does sponsor this podcast. We appreciate their support, and we want to continue to give you updates on what's happening with the dealership. So one of the most recent announcements is they are open for showroom test drives, but it's on an appointment basis only. So they have a full online presence, like we've mentioned in the past, and they'll continue to respond to all inquiries and phone calls. So you can go to the website, riversidechrysler.ca, and you can interact with them directly there, as well as shop the showroom and all the cars on the lot. And you can check in with them on social media at Riverside Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. That's where you'll see a lot of the frequent updates to keep you informed of how the dealership is moving forward and how they're going to continue to be able to assist you. So appointment scheduling, if you want to go take a test drive, obviously you can go drive around the lot and look at the vehicles from your car, but they are there, they are able to help you. So if you're in the market for a car or just have questions, reach out to our friends at Riverside Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
And who, especially with the sunshine that we've been having this past week, doesn't want to get in a new car and take for a test drive?
Right. I've been seeing a lot of people with Jeeps posting photos of their Jeeps with the tops off and the sunshine. And I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to have a Jeep right now.
Yeah, leaving their lot, I'd be on Highway 2, headed towards the Long Soup Parkway, and there you go. Windows open, you're in the most
Right.
in our area.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey, now that we've talked about some of the places being open, I really have, again, we have a grocery store, so that's where I would be most times. I don't need anything else. I've recently been going into other stores to get stuff. I'm not going to mention the stores. It's just a couple that are here in town. And I got uncomfortable immediately. I think now that stores are being open, the general public, not all of them, I shouldn't say the general public, there's a lot of people that think, okay, it's over, we're allowed in again. I got people coming right up to stand beside me while I'm looking at stuff, and I think, it's not over. We're allowing this to be happening right now, but you still have to keep your 6 feet distance. I don't wear a mask when I go out. I don't wear gloves. I am just, trying to pay attention to my surroundings, who I'm around, what I'm touching, and my Purell is in my handbag beside me at all times. When I do touch something, I wipe every time. So what's it called again? The coronavirus? the buggies, they're still, we're talking about the fact that there could be a second wave because people aren't paying attention as much. So are you going out, first of all, Pat, to different stores, and how do you feel about the way it's being received?
I am. Like, I'll go do groceries still, but as far as that, like, I don't really go to many stores. Even for business, I'm trying to contact and have conversations with my clients through email or phone calls. But for myself personally, it's just mostly to do groceries, or if I'm doing curbside pickup from a restaurant or something. Like just the other day, we were at Sege Patat, and he's got a nice little structure around, and everyone was keeping their distance. So in my experience, I haven't come across anyone breaking that barrier of my comfort zone. And I'm not wearing a mask, I'm not wearing gloves, but I am being more cautious. Like I keep my Purell in my car, and I'll Purell it when I get in the car, but I'm not doing it as frequently as I should. So I'm probably not taking as many precautions as I should, like you said, because there could be a second wave if we're not taking it seriously.
Yep, they say in the fall that we're going to be going through it all over again. Maybe I shouldn't be wearing my perfume or something, because people they're coming too close to me. I think, I'm not ready for you to be this close. The world shouldn't be this close. But getting back to your Purell, I have to keep, I said I don't wear a mask or gloves, but when I'm showing homes with real estate, I do. It's mandatory for us to have our wipes and to have our gloves and masks on, in most homes anyway. But I was sent a message recently, because I had made the joke at the market, the Finch Market, we got new hand sanitizer in, but they're coming in Mickey bottles, like true Canadian style. Our hand sanitizer is coming from another vodka distillery out west, and they put it in Mickey bottles. So I made the joke, here's a Mickey you can actually keep in the front seat. And I was schooled on that in a nice way, that you should not be keeping your hand sanitizer because it is alcohol, your Purell, your hand sanitizer, you shouldn't be keeping it in the hot car now that we're into the summer season. So you should be taking it out because it could break it down or blow up. I don't know, but
Well, that's a good tip.
In the car. Yeah. I didn't think of that at all.
So question, because Purell I find has like almost like a gel texture, like consistency. This stuff that the liquor manufacturers, the distilleries are making, is it liquid?
You're pouring straight vodka on your hands. Don't get it. Okay. It's worse than
Purell. Don't drink it, right? Don't drink it.
No. They have a different concoction that you don't want to drink it. I've not tried it. I don't want to try it. I'm not desperate for a vodka buzz that early in the day. But yes, that's a good tip. Don't keep it in the car. That's for sure. Getting back to people that are going out, I was watching CTV Ottawa yesterday, and they put up the poll, what do you wear for protection when you can't be physically distanced? And they put up masks, gloves, both or neither. And I was interested in seeing what the results were, and 46% of people are wearing a mask. I see it a lot when I'm out now. You had mentioned that seeing people in the car with their masks on. I think people are just confused. They don't know, should I, shouldn't I? I don't want to be seen in public without a mask, even if I'm driving by myself.
Yeah, and I think, well, and that's everything that I've listened to or read, the wearing a mask is more to protect the people around you in case you do have the virus, right? To stop it from spreading. And I think you're right. I think it's just this confusion as to when you should wear a mask, maybe, why you should wear a mask. Yeah. And even they were saying, at least for Ontario anyways, that it's highly, or was it for Canada anyway? I can't remember, but they're saying it's highly recommended that you should wear a mask if you're leaving the house.
That you should?
Yeah. Well, but it's not, obviously it's not enforced yet, but who knows? Like, last night I was looking at the chart of Canada. It shows by province, the status of the state of affairs as far as the coronavirus is concerned. And I was really surprised to see that Canada, if you look at every other province, and it doesn't look as bad. And then when you look at Ontario and Quebec, it's like an unbelievable difference in the scale coronavirus cases versus everywhere else in Canada. So I don't know what it is about Ontario and Quebec, this area, but Ontario and Quebec are the problem. If you look at this chart. So it's like, what's going on? And it makes you wonder, I guess it makes you realize why they're putting such a sense of urgency and why they're trying to be strict, but still open things up. It's how do you, besides grabbing somebody and shaking them, trying to shake the sense into them, how do you communicate to them in a way that they understand how serious this can be?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, when I bring up the idea of going out and people coming close to me, we actually have had at the Finch Market a couple of our clients come in, customers rather, and they've said, why don't you get rid of this already? The 5 per person rule, it's ridiculous. Get rid of it. And I think, no, I still want to keep going through it as we planned. I don't want to let all hell break loose. Come on in, everybody. Get yourselves all warm and cozy over by the liquor cabinet. I'm not ready for it yet. I want to maintain what we're doing so that when the second wave does come, we're still keeping our routine, I guess is what I'd like to do.
Yeah, and this is the new norm. This is going to be the new norm for a while, right? And the one thing on that poll that you sent me from CBC, another interesting thing it did ask the question, I don't know what it said verbatim, but it was about mental health, right? Do you feel like your mental health is being affected? And it was like 50-50, right? So 50% of the people that did that poll said yes, and the other half said no, obviously. But I don't know. I feel like we've talked about this in the past couple of podcasts, but I think mental health it's a serious thing right now. And as we continue to go on, while things are still opening up, it's still not normal. This still isn't the norm, right? It's still an adjustment that we all have to get used to. And just hopefully people are talking about it and reaching out if they are feeling off.
You know who it will be normal to? our great great grandchildren. That will be their normal. We're the ones having to go through the transition right now, and it'll take a couple generations, I'm sure, to get through it. But I just hope people can stick with it. That's all I ask. I know that the stores are open. Go out, do what you're needing to do. Like, I have to go to somewhere today, either Walmart or Giant Tiger, something. My daughter has grown 4 inches. She has no shorts, and my shorts are too big for her. So she wants to go out and play outside, and she's wearing pants. So yes, I have to go out at some point today, and I've been avoiding it, but I can't so much anymore. Otherwise, we're going to be cutting all her pants off into shorts.
Right. I tell you, I think the one thing I miss the most right now is being out on a patio, having a drink. You know, because who knows if that's going to be able to happen at all this summer, right?
I don't know. Patios, they may. It's just a matter of how much money can they make if, you know, say, let's say Schnitzels, for instance. How many people do you think they can fit out there at one time on their patio? There's a number of tables.
Oh, 50, 60?
Yeah, well, they probably have to bring that down by a quarter in
Right.
order to have put distance between everybody. So money will be tough for quite some time, because I'm sure it takes a lot of money for the overhead
Oh,
day-to-day
sure.
business. On that note, I am wearing pajamas today.
They're very nice.
I do work from home, as you know. Most people are right now. A lot of Canadians have had to, for the first time, work from home. But I'm wearing my pajamas right now because I didn't want to go back upstairs to change, because that lets the family know that I'm on break. Next thing you know, they're all down here trying to do stuff, and I'm like, don't let them know you're here. So I just decided to stay in my pajamas. You haven't been working from home, right? Normally you've got Seaway News. That's where you're at. You're usually on the road with the different projects that you have. But how have you been finding it? Because I do have another poll for Canadians that most are struggling. Some are excited. Those are the ones that don't have kids or pets. But how are you doing? Because you do have little kids and a dog.
Yeah. So we're down, like my work week is down to 4 days a week, because we've shut down one day. And I'm going into the office Tuesday, Thursday mornings, because I'm able to schedule a way to do that. And the rest of the time I'm working from home. So it's very challenging. The dog's not that bad, because I can just put her outside or put her in her cage and she's fine. But with the kids, I think it's harder on them, because they see me here, they want my attention, they want me to play with them, they want me to help keep them busy and active, but they don't understand that I'm working, right? They just think dad's home and dad's sitting at the computer, but he should be playing with us, and they get confused, right? So I feel bad for my kids, because I want to be able to try and keep them active and do stuff with them, and I'm just trying to give them things to do to occupy themselves while I'm trying to do what I'm doing, and it's a bit of a challenge, and especially when you get phone calls, right? Whenever a client calls me, or I'm on the phone with a client, and it's a very professional conversation, and my kids are screaming and yelling or fighting in the background, so it can be very challenging.
Next thing you know, the door's open, the dog's running down the street. You have no control. It's just complete chaos.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I say that because mom was out the other day, and Luke yelled at me he's like, you left the door open. I went, it was just, thankfully the neighbors know our dog, and they helped us get him back in, because once he sees that door, I'm going to check out the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It can be very challenging, but there are some great tips that I came across today in order to work from home. And this is another CBC article. Working from home for the first time, here's how to make it a success. So maybe it's an older article, but it still fits for some that are going back to work and maybe doing it for the first time. Maintaining a routine is definitely the way to go, because now that you're working from home, you don't want to sleep in until 8:30, 9 o'clock. Keep your routine of what you did before. Get up, have your shower, have your breakfast, and go to work. For myself, I think you've got your little office there as well. It's making sure your office isn't everywhere in the house. Designate one specific area to it, because that's one, your family knows when she's in that room or when he's in that room, that means work time is on. So again, for the whole family, so that they're not confused, they don't know if you're playing a game of Magic on the couch or if you're in the middle of a Zoom meeting with executives. They have no idea. So keeping the workspace where it needs to be is perfect. Managing the kids is, I think that's the first and foremost. with that space. That's how easily it can be done. Also, the last one, don't overwork. I get into this rut sometimes where 6 o'clock in the morning I'm up. I've had emails come in overnight. So next thing you know, I'm on my computer at 6:30 in the morning because I'm able to work. But now at 6:30 in the morning, I've started, and sometimes I don't finish till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night because of the convenience of being able to work at home, not
Right.
shutting at 5 o'clock, leaving. So those are some of the great tips. And again, maybe we can just share that link. I think it's important for people to work from home, for people working from home rather, that they take it in stride and don't get too stressed about it, and welcome it instead of, worrying about it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're seeing that's more than likely going to become a new reality for a lot of businesses, right? Like you were saying, you saw, who was it? Because I saw Facebook and Twitter are now basically telling their employees, Shopify. So
Shopify.
a lot of these businesses and companies are realizing that they can still function with their staff working from home, and there's a means to do it. And, hopefully people are just as productive if they don't have kids at home or dogs bothering them, like mine's bothering me right now. But might be the new reality, and these businesses are saving overhead. So I do agree with what you said. For me, it's keeping that routine. Like when I am working from home, I still get up at the same time. I shower, I make my coffee, or I have a Tim Hortons coffee if I'm lucky. And then I sit down and I start work. And if I don't do that, then I find my day is just it's like every day is just a day. There's no Sunday to Saturday anymore. There's no Friday celebration because it's the weekend. It's just every day is a day,
I had somebody say that to me yesterday. She's like, right on, tomorrow's Friday. I'm like, what does that mean? It's another day.
Yeah.
I posted that question up on Facebook because they're saying 4.7 million more Canadians now working from home. That's coming from Stats Canada. And I'd asked, are you working from home? And would you like the idea, like Shopify is doing, working from home right into 2021? Like this is going to last for some time. And Tim said he's been working from home since 2011. He loves it. It's the best perk of his job, being able to do that. Another woman just like me, she said her daughter-in-law said the same thing about when schools reopen, it might be a little bit easier, less guilt-free, moments whenever the kids are back in school. Mike, he said, I also work from home and really enjoy it despite having prior reservations. He finds there's less stress and he's more productive. I think I'm more, yeah, I think
so too. And you know what? I think that if you think about it, the water cooler conversations aren't happening, right? So I can see that's where maybe people are more productive. Plus you're in your own comfort zone. You're at home. I see it. That makes sense to me. Yeah.
I can work in whatever I want. Nobody needs to know right now. I also have Ryan Hollingsworth on here. He said, I do think that this will become part of our new normal, and some companies will offer their workers at home. A number of people I've chatted with find they are being more productive when at home for a number of reasons, including not sitting on the roads in traffic. I'm finding it different working from home since I work in the school setting for IT, but it has been enjoyable. Allison said, I can handle this. Absolutely. Perfect arrangement.
Yeah. And you know what? That's interesting because we don't have traffic problems really in Cornwall, but imagine these people in the big metropolitan areas like Ottawa and Toronto who have to leave the house at 6 o'clock just to get to work for 8. And the same at home. Like this is probably great for them because they're getting to spend that extra time. Well, if they have kids or a family, or just being productive.
Okay.
That's probably nice.
You brought up mental health before. I will tell you right now, when we bought the store in Finch, everybody said, oh, Luke, you're going to drive a half an hour every day. He looks forward to that half-hour drive home. Before, he shuts the door. He has time to decompress. He cranks his tunes or he listens to the Barstool podcast. I don't know if he listens to ours or not, but that I would defeat the purpose of him not, me in his head.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
He likes that half-hour drive home, so he's alone and he can think and do whatever he wants on the drive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, actually I forget what I was going to bring up. I sidetracked into that. Might have to pause for a moment on my thoughts.
Yeah.
I just got sidetracked at what's Luke gonna make when he gets home. Shoot. I had a perfect segue there. Now I can't remember what it was.
Hold on.
You know what? You brought up earlier the issues people have been having with mental health since all this has been going on. Traffic-wise, yes, some people might see that as a bad thing, having to, drive an hour and a half to work and back. But I'll tell you, every night it's a 35 minute drive from Finch. Luke looks forward to it because that's his time. That's his time. He can listen to a podcast. He's got those Barstool guys that he absolutely loves. He can crank the tunes, put the window down. It's his half hour just to decompress before he gets home to the chaos of the Stuart McCabe family.
That makes sense. I didn't think of it that way, but for sure, I agree with that. And I think, even for me, whenever I am on the road, traveling around those, from one stop to the next, that it does give me a little bit of time to think to myself. Mind you, sometimes when I do that, I get caught missing the turn where I was supposed to go. But yeah.
I've definitely done that. But also, have you noticed, somebody brought it up on Facebook one day, I think it was Tanya Flero. She brought it up because people are taking the most beautiful sky pictures lately, the sunsets, the sunrise, middle of the day. Have you noticed how clear the skies are? Yeah. Speaking of pollution and less traffic and no airplanes, that sort of thing. The skies have been gorgeous.
Yes, it's been absolutely beautiful. And you say that because it's clear sky. I'm looking at my window right now. It's a clear blue sky. The day before yesterday, I took my kids out with like an outdoor scavenger hunt, and one of the things that they had to find was a cloud, and there was not a cloud in the sky. So they're like, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, guys. So I'm like, I just pretended there was one, but it's, hopefully this is a great recovery time for the planet. We're seeing a lot of posts about it, and we're seeing it. So this is hopefully turns out to be a really good thing.
Maybe I can get back to using my aerosol hairspray. Actually, have you seen the new studies out? Well, they're working on it. I shouldn't say there's real scientific proof to it yet, but vitamin D is supposed to help out when it comes to the coronavirus, be it sunshine, the extra vitamins.
Yes, yeah, I did. Yeah. And obviously we've seen that heat, apparently the virus can't survive in heat like this. So, hey, let's all hope and pray that these warm temperatures help us kind of speed up the recovery process, or the process of killing this virus. But it's who knows, right? We don't know. I take it a day at a time.
I did go and buy vitamin D. I made sure that I take it every day now, and I'm making sure the kids are getting outside with their sunscreen, of course. That's the transition between spring and summer, right? The first time they come in, you're like, oh, I forgot about sunscreen.
Yeah.
Then you're frantically to see what's not expired.
Yes. Yeah.
But yes, vitamin D, if it's not gonna kill you to take it, but it might help in the grand scheme of things to make sure you're either taking vitamin or eating what you need to. Vitamin D, it's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had been talking recently about texting, and now that we're everything, because there's no face-to-face contact anymore, you're either messaging, texting, or Zooming or Skyping, that sort of thing. You brought up and asked me if there's ever been a wrong text, an accidental text that I've sent to somebody. And I have a couple of scenarios, but they were quite some time ago, and I was I'm too embarrassed to bring them up, but I want to hear what yours is.
So before I get to mine, I'll tell you why this came up, because there was a movie that was released on Netflix called The Wrong Missy with David Spade. And if you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. It was hilarious. It's probably the best comedy movie I've watched in a while. And I don't know if it's just because it fits, because we're all at home right now, and the way things happen is it's really funny. But he goes on a blind date, and the blind date is horrible. And a few weeks go by, and then he meets this woman in the airport, and she's like the perfect match, the perfect woman. And he gets her number, and he starts to text her. And after a little bit, he ends up inviting her on a company retreat. Well, he gets in the plane, and the woman that shows up was the woman from the first blind date. And the whole time he's been texting they were both named Missy. So he was texting the wrong one the whole time. And then obviously all this hilarity ensues. But So that's what made me think of this. But you have to watch this movie. If you haven't seen it, you have to. It's such a good laugh. But for me, I haven't had. Mine was more of a professional snafu,
Oh,
and
no.
which wasn't good. And I still feel so bad about it to this day. And I haven't really told many people about this. But I was. This is in a previous career of mine, and it's when I was traveling, and I had an employee that wasn't performing, and we were in the process of obviously trying to make a change. And I had a phone conversation, like a meeting with this employee, and just basically making it very clear where we stood. And then after this was on a BlackBerry, I was BBMing my boss about the conversation, thinking, and it wasn't my boss I was texting, it was actually the employee I was texting, and and I didn't realize it at first. I was waiting. I'm like, why isn't my boss responding to me? I was just talking to her, and then I pull up the phone and I look, and I'm like, oh no, I didn't just do that. I didn't just do that, and I felt so awful, like just the pit of my stomach just turning, and so I called the employee and just tried to play it off, almost like a joke, like a joke, which is horrible. And so, I mean, at that point, I think the employee knew that their fate was pretty much sealed. So that was a major snafu.
Needs a sweat going on, and just
Well, and I think it was just, I had so much going on. I had just gotten off the phone conversation with her, and then her name was on the top of my head. So that's when I grabbed my phone while I'm doing other things. I'm typing it, not realizing I sent it to her. Anyways, but that was the worst. I haven't had any other mishaps with text messaging where, when I was single, if I was dating, texting the wrong girl or doing anything like that. I don't have any really fun texting mishap stories.
The one thing I did catch in your story is that you're using a BlackBerry. Are those things still around? Do people still use BlackBerries?
Yeah, well, you know what? My wife's working from home now, and she works for Service Canada, and they sent them all with laptops, and they all have BlackBerries. So that's how they're making their outbound calls, is with these BlackBerry devices. So I think the government still uses them. I think doesn't the city still use BlackBerry phones? City employees?
I don't know. That's
I think
funny.
it's a government thing now. Yeah. But that was a long time ago.
Yeah. I had one incident. I mean, I text wrong people all the time. I have a problem when I'm typing in a number, I get them flipped. So
Right.
I'll send it off and they're like, hey, sorry, I'm not trying to sell my house today. Thanks. So yes, I've accidentally done that. But there was one time, it was an ex years ago. We'd had an argument. I hung up the phone, immediately texting my best friend to say what he is. He immediately writes back, I bet you that wasn't for me. No, that wasn't. But now you know how I really feel.
There you go. Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, this has been a lot of fun trying to cope with the COVID, and in conversation with others. I think the second wave will be inevitable, and I just hope that people in the end realize that the 6-foot distance is a thing. I want this world to get back to normal just as much as the next person, but we really have to take care of ourselves and the people around us, our kids first and foremost. I did let my daughter, by the way, go for a bike ride with her best friend the other day, because they're just outside. They're not close. They're respecting it, and I really appreciate it. They're teenagers, and I just hope they're doing what I've asked anyway.
Yeah. But I think it's we're at the point now where everyone needs to do their part, right? Yeah. It's on everyone, right?
Well, good luck with the rest of your day. I'm out short shopping, as it's inevitable. It's an essential right now. My daughter cannot fit into anything that she had last summer. We need some shorts for this beautiful weather that we're having. Finally, summer is here, so I hope people can enjoy whatever it is they do.
Yes.
And thank you again to, the family knows I'm here, so I better get. They're coming. Well, this goon anyway.
What's up, Spider-Man?
Hey, special guest spot.
All right. Well, have a great day. And again, thanks so much for joining us on the chat. If there's any conversation that you ever want to have, you can find us on our Facebook page. But in the meantime, have a great week. Thanks so much, Pat.
Thank you, too.